are joining on the replay, hi, I'm Sarah. This is a place for people who are deconstructing their faith or questioning their faith, and just want a place to chat about it. A place to connect and meet people who are maybe going through the same thing. So yeah, just a little background about me. I grew up Protestant, Christian, evangelical-ish, pretty relatively evangelical. And I started questioning my faith when I was in my mid-20s. Hi, good to see you, Spark. Hey, Krista, hello. Yay. Happy to see friendly faces. Hope you guys are doing well. Currently, my microwave is broken, and so I'm actually making tea the official way by heating it up on a kettle. Hey, Laura. Well, let's see if there's anyone. Oh, you don't hear it as well. That's interesting. I haven't gotten that feedback. I wonder, are you listening on your phone? Actually, I don't know why that would be. Hey, Chris. Let's see. I don't know where Checkers is. I actually have Meatball with me. We're a small group. Do you guys want to see Meatball? And she rarely makes an appearance. But yeah, for anyone new, I do actually I have two bunnies. And yeah, Meatball is the one that is she's much more shy. Let's see, I hear her though. Let's see if we can go find Meatball real quick. Hi, Charles. Yeah, we'll do a quick field trip. I hear your crunchies. Oh, where'd she go? Well, never mind. I don't know where she went. That's weird. Meatball, where are you? I have no idea. Well, I'll quick show you Ruby since I promised you a cute animal. Oh, that's not helpful at all. Hi, Rubes. Who's a good baby? Okay, sorry. Okay, field trip over. Right. Oh, thanks, Kay. Hey, Emily. Yay, Ruby says hi. For anyone who's new, hi, welcome. I'm Sarah, and this is a place for people who are questioning their faith, deconstructing their faith, and want a place to hang out and chat about it. Yeah, Ruby is out. She is done for sure. Does YouTube have stickers? No, it doesn't. I know. I usually have on TikTok, I have a topic, so you can see a topic, but I don't. Yeah, YouTube doesn't have that feature. Hi, James. Welcome. I feel like it looks extra dark in here today. I don't know why. I need another lamp. Well, at any rate, Oh, do you think we'll see the downfall of mega churches in our lifetime? That's a really interesting question. I don't know. I do hope. I mean, I certainly have seen a lot more discourse about mega churches in a negative way, a lot more legitimate criticism of mega churches. So maybe, but I don't know. It's so much, it has so many things people like, and there's so much money and power. I don't know. Hmm. Abby says, kind of been forced into religion, pastor's daughter, going to church camp soon, but I've grown very far from Christ, but I want to create my own path without my parents forcing me. Yeah, I mean, I totally support forging your own path and doing your best to figure out, what you think is true and correct. And if that ends up being something different than what you grew up with, I know that can be really challenging. Hi, Surfer. Hi, Kevin. I need to, oh, there, plug my phone back in. Okay. Oh, well, yeah, dealing with church friends, that can go either way. I think some of us had church, sorry, I'm just plugging in my phone, sorry for all the shaking. Yeah, I think some of us, when we started either questioning or were, having um, different questions or different beliefs, some of us lost some friends, but not all of us. So yeah, it can be a hard thing for sure. Thanks, James. Hi, Tom. What is this channel about? So this is a channel for people who are like questioning their faith or deconstructing their faith and just want a place to talk about it, to talk about what it's like and kind of what comes next, that sort of thing. What's the subject for today? I guess I didn't really pick one. I can tell you the video I did today on TikTok was about the perception that Christians have that like we're all inherently evil, and how like damaging that can be. Cincy says the church invites everyone good and bad, so don't get hurt when you run into different people. Some churches do that. Some are not so good at being welcoming. It depends. Oh, well, that is interesting, Kevin. Hey, Em. Yeah, Emily says original sin is so harmful to children. Luther says true, although none of us is perfectly good and each and everyone is capable of evil things. Hi, John Paul. Yeah, and I think the big difference there is that Christianity teaches that basically if you sin once, you're imperfect and in the bad category. And there's no, it's like you're either perfect or you're evil, and there's not a lot of in between. Um, but I don't think that really reflects reality. Oh, from Sacramento. Hi. Why do you think you guys started to question your beliefs? So it can be for different reasons for different people. Kind of big picture, a lot of times you just see things with a new perspective. And many people actually start to question when they read the Bible all the way through for the first time, like really digging down into like what the Bible says. That actually does it for some people. There's other reasons too. John says, was Jesus not sinning when he stole the donkey? That's interesting. I mean, he technically had someone else do it for him, so maybe he's shifting blame, but oh, well, thank you so much. Can be best for the super chat. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Can best says, love your respectful approach. Fantastic. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Luther says, what is your elongated definition of good and your detailed definition of evil? I don't know that I have an elongated or detailed. I would say, it's based on whether you're causing harm to other people. Yeah, who knew, Charles? You're supposed to read it all the way through. All right, we've gotten to the point where we're getting some weird comments, so I'm gonna switch us over to subscribers. Let's see if that does it. It never works the first time I do it. I don't know why. Hang on. Let me try it again. Yay. Oh, don't worry. Subscriber just means follower. So it doesn't mean you have to like pay for anything. So don't worry. Well, I'm glad you made it, Chip. Kim says, hi from Nashville. Hi. Did you lose family or friends after deconstructing? I am lucky that I didn't lose family. Some relationships were strained for a while, but I didn't lose those relationships. I did lose quite a few friends, though. Yeah. Thanks, Mark. Abdul says there are over 35 versions of Bibles. There is no original text left in the world from the gospel. Yeah, so I mean, I agree. We don't have any actual originals. Hi, Heather. I'm trying my best, Charles. Are there times you remember that, or are there times when you remember the weird things you thought were evil, like secular music, rated R movies, swear words? Oh man. Growing up in my house, we obviously could not swear, but we also couldn't even say like, oh geez, because my mom thought like that was too close to Jesus, like, and you can't say that. I definitely thought that Ouija boards were of the devil. Like you could not use a Ouija board, for sure. Um, oh, you couldn't say "oh my gosh" either. I could say "oh my gosh." Darn, darn was okay, but dang was not. I don't know why. Yeah, the rules about swearing in my house, or what words we could and could not say, were just vibes. You know, whatever my mom felt like. Hey, Rachel. Good to see you. Oh, man, John. Oh, yeah, saying I swear. Yeah, we couldn't say that either. That's so interesting. But that was another scammer, Charles. Oh my gosh, Emily says my cousins, we were Christian Reformed. We're not allowed to date Lutherans. Oh, that's so funny, Chip. Yeah, when I was a kid, well, I was 16, I just learned to drive, and my mom was sitting in the passenger seat, and like she realized I was gonna like slowly run into the car ahead of us. And so I did. I just kind of accidentally tapped their bumper, and she goes, "Damn it, Sarah." I was like, "Oh, Mom." Ah, that makes sense, Charles. Do I like Star Wars? Moderately. I think it's sort of fine. uh, why leave the faith? What happened? So I do have like a whole FAQ playlist, but I just stopped believing that it was true. Were you allowed to watch Harry Potter? I was actually. That, um, yeah, they were okay with Harry Potter. Emily says, I've never heard my mom swear once. Hi, Carly. Yeah, Harry Potter was banned in a lot of people's house. So you're definitely not alone in that for sure. Oh no, Will says a Christian family stopped talking to my mom because she watched Harry Potter. Oh, yeah. It's interesting. Like my parents were sort of on the edge of being fundamentalist, but they weren't quite. Like there were things my mom sort of didn't like, but we weren't so restricted. But as I got older and left the house is actually when I got more and more intense about things. So I ended up being more intense about my religion than my parents were. Proud of you, Spark. John says apparently some people weren't allowed to watch or play Pokemon. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. What was your biggest contributing doubt? I mean, I would say that the big two for me was the doctrine of hell, and then like the inerrancy of the Bible or the lack thereof. Those were like probably my two biggest ones. Hi, Rachel. Your parents don't let you watch SpongeBob. That's an interesting one. My parents wouldn't let me watch Full House. Hey, Bailey. Eve, hello. The Smurfs, interesting. Do you believe in Jesus, just not church religion? So I think Jesus probably existed like as a human, but I don't think that he was God or the Son of God slash God. Yeah, no, I was not allowed to watch Full House. Although it wasn't strictly a religious thing, it was because my mom didn't like the way the kids talked to their parents. So she thought Full House was going to be a bad influence on us. And for the longest time, we just had this little 13-inch TV in the basement, and that was, we didn't have cable or anything, just just the basic channels. Oh, thanks, Eve. Eve says, Sarah, I loved your first debate stream. Need more. So if any of you are on, like if you use TikTok, I do this more often over on TikTok. And I did my first like more debate style stream. What are your thoughts on paganism? I don't know if I have a lot of thoughts on it, only in that I think I only have a really surface level understanding of what it is. Hi, Brian. Yeah, Chip, I did it. I think I'm gonna do them Saturday nights, probably on TikTok. At some point, I'm gonna have Justin help me figure out how to like stream simultaneously on TikTok and YouTube at the same time, and then I can do them both, and that'll help things. Who went up to debate? People I didn't know. Hi, Christian Comedy. Yeah, so not all Christians agree that the book of Revelation is actually about the end times. There are many people who think it was actually about 70 AD and that it already happened. Yep, I'm doing fine. Thanks, SJ. Hi, Scott. It's going well. Mason asks, so are you not religious? Yeah, not anymore. So I used to be religious and now I'm not. Have you seen the difference in those who are Catholic, Christian, or born again? Well, so Catholics are Christians. And the term born again is most commonly used for evangelicals, but it can be used in other places. Not in the way that people interact with me online. Yeah, Mason, it is hard to know what to believe in. And I don't know that anyone really knows for sure. Brian says, I make street preachers go crazy when I tell them Jehovah's Witnesses are Christians. Oh, yeah, I bet they don't like that. NC says, you don't like Jesus? Actually, I'm pretty cool with Jesus. I mean, don't agree with everything he says, but a lot of it. Muffin says, Catholics are Old Testament Christians or New Testament. Is that correct? No. Keem says, purpose, are we here just to be here and there isn't a point to life, or is there a divine plan? or we just don't understand. So I don't think that there is a divine plan. I don't think that I was put here to accomplish a certain thing. I think I am here and I'm very grateful to be here, and I find a lot of meaning in my life. Um, the My favorite quote about that is from Kurt Vonnegut, and he says, "The purpose of life, no matter who is in charge of it, is to love whoever is around to be loved." And I really like that. Yeah, Brian, I don't really know what the fifth place thing is. I don't know. I guess it's looking at how much you comment. A man of God says there is zero evidence against God. It's not a matter of religion or science, but how they come together. I would like to debate you. So, hey, Matthew, if you want, I do more of a debate style on Saturday nights over on my TikTok account. But I would say that the lack of being able to see God, the lack of being able to actually hear him audibly would be some evidence against him. Oh, Chip, nice. It is interesting. Speaking of Christians proselytizing in public, how often I get Christians mad at me for having this channel. Basically they say, well, just why do you have to talk about it? Why can't you just keep it to yourself? And it's really interesting, the contrast there. Rachel says, Christians posting their comments makes me even more sure about leaving religion. I don't know why they think it will win people over. I don't have a lot of, maybe a few. I don't have a ton of Christians, I think, who come into my life thinking they're going to win people. I think a lot of it more often is just they see someone on the internet they think is wrong, and it's hard to watch someone who you think is wrong. And I think a lot of times people are coming in just to correct me. Keem says, life's aggravating, full of hate and sadness and stress, and you pray and pray, and it's on God's time, but he doesn't show up. Yeah, I mean, and I think when prayers don't get answered, um, a lot of like blaming the victim or gaslighting can happen where, you know, there are some verses where God clearly says he will answer your prayers. And so let's say you pray for something and it doesn't happen. You pray for help or you pray for healing. And when it doesn't happen, I think Christianity has a way of putting it back on you somehow, like you did something wrong. But never, hey, why isn't God like coming through on what he promised? Dave says, when Christians start preaching at me, I just tell them they're wasting their time. I can't be saved because I blasphemed the Holy Spirit about 5 minutes ago. Yeah, another thing that's really difficult to get Christians to agree on. What does it actually mean, like blasphemy of the Holy Spirit? And for something as serious as that, you'd think it would be crystal clear, but it's not. Man of God, your paragraph there, the top sentence is contradicting the bottom. Um, Thanks, Kendra. The idea that God's not going to answer your prayers just because you ask for them, because God has a specific plan. Then it makes no sense to ask God for anything ever. And especially saying he's not going to let you ruin it. So God's not going to answer your prayer if it wasn't something he was going to do anyway. So praying for things then seems totally useless. Yeah, Kendra said exactly why even bother to pray. Man of God says the scripture says God already knows what you need in advance because he works through all periods of time, but because you live within time, he wants you to communicate with him as he is your father. So it's just all a charade. Like, he wants you to ask him for things even though he's already going to do them. He wants you to feel like you're part of things, but you're actually not. Like, it doesn't seem, I don't know, that seems disingenuous to me. Yeah, man says God 100% shows up when you need him. That is, I'm very glad that God has shown up for you. But there are so many of us who could say, no, I'm sorry, he did not show up. You know, the thing we were praying for didn't happen. The person died, and the thing was lost. You know, it didn't, help did not come. Oh, what's the new book, Kendra? Chris says, I agree with your logic on eternal hell torment, but I have family that have witnessed healings of cancer and other illnesses at their church through prayer. It doesn't always work, though. Yeah, I mean, I think the hard thing about that is that we know that some people get better, right? If you just take a whole bunch of people who had cancer, if you don't put prayer in the mix, some people will get better and some people won't. And so then when you add prayer into the mix, it doesn't really change that. Still, some people get better and some people won't. Bailey says, prayer genuinely hits a nerve for me now because when my mom was sick, we prayed and prayed. And when she died, everyone just said it wasn't God's will. So what was the point of prayer? Yeah. Yeah. Man, I'm so sorry for your loss. And I think it's unfair for Christians to tell you that, well, no, the point of prayer is just for you to get closer to God, to communicate, to develop that relationship. When Jesus specifically says, like, ask for anything in my name and it will be done, or how much more will the Father care for you than the birds or the flowers? Like, there's some places where he really explicitly says he'll take care of you. So I think it's praying for healing is completely reasonable. Hi, Sheila. Eve says they actually did a study, and if people know they are being prayed for, they have worse outcomes. Keem says, I'm just having a hard time holding on to faith if I'm being honest. I try my best to live Christ-like and fail all the time and just feel like, why am I striving to be perfect when it's impossible? I can absolutely relate to that. Yeah. I am looking back on like my prayer journals from that time. Half of the text is me just writing, God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Um, if it's interesting to you, one of my favorite authors to recommend is Rachel Held Evans. And she was someone who deconstructed the more fundamentalist parts of her belief, but she actually remained a Christian till the end of her life. And so um, that might be comforting to you. Maybe a different vision of what Christianity could be. Thank you, Charles. Yes, Faith Unraveled by Rachel Held Evans. Oh, yeah, by Sarah McCammon. I've heard of that book. I have not read it yet, though. Have you heard of the book No Nonsense Spirituality? Yes, I love Britt Hartley. She's wonderful. Um, Dumb Guy says, the only thing I miss about church was the potlucks. When I was a kid, I loved that because they always had fried chicken. And in addition to my parents being like strict about religion, they were also strict about nutrition. And so we never had any fat in the house, like ever. Everything was fat free. Definitely nothing was ever fried. And so when we got to we had like the church picnics, and there was fried chicken, like, oh my gosh, it just like made my whole month. Hi, Mr. Windles. No, that's a fine question to ask. I think, the what we just don't want is like people preaching and trying to like convert others. So I think that's what our moderators are looking for. Rachel says, when my grandfather was dying of cancer, I prayed for him to not be in a lot of pain. I was with him and he died an extremely painful death. I think that was when I started losing faith in prayer. Yeah. I'm so sorry for your loss, Rachel. It's so painful to see someone you love in pain. What is your opinion on people praying for you? I mean, for me personally, it really depends on the context. So, for example, when like I'm talking to my mom about my life, and if I'm going through something difficult, she will say that she's praying for me. And in that context, like coming from my mom, I know that like that's how she's showing love. And so I appreciate it. I say thank you, and it's fine. When I'm having conversations on the internet, if someone leaves a comment saying, "You're so lost, I'll pray for you," well, that just feels like condescension, and I don't appreciate that. Ekta says, I was never a Christian, but deconstruction channels like yours help me feel a little less abjectly afraid of the Christian nationalists driving me out of public life. Hi, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Keem says, my dad always told me to live a life of God and die, find out he's not real, or live a life doing whatever you want and find out he's real. Yeah, so that is called Pascal's wager, basically. And the thing is, I now don't believe in God, but I still live a life in which I care for others. I I'm very concerned about the people around me. I value truth and honesty and compassion. And so, even though I don't believe in God anymore, I am not just, I don't know, living in debauchery or harming people all the time. I think I could, at least so far, look back at my life and say, well, I definitely made some mistakes, but I did try the very best I could. And so I don't think it, I think it's creating like a false dichotomy of like this good life if you believe in God and this terrible life if you don't. But I don't think that that's reality. Sheila says, when Christians find out I'm an atheist, they say it and it feels like a weapon. John says, I sort of accidentally came out to my MAGA grandparents as an atheist, and the next day they sent me an email saying they were praying a Pentecost novena for me, which is like a 9-day Catholic prayer. Wow, I don't know anything about that prayer. Oh, thank you so much for the super chat, Theoden. Theoden says, your Bible studies with Deconstruction Zone are fantastic. Oh, thank you so much for watching. Um, I know it's been a while since we put out a new one. We both just have such different schedules in the summer. Who's your favorite atheist? I don't know. I don't know if I have a favorite. Yes, Theoden King. Out of tea. Yeah, you're welcome, Keem. Oh, well, we're so glad you're here, Ekta. Welcome, welcome. Ekta says, say myself, be your own favorite atheist. Ah. Well, I will say, while I am much better at like self-acceptance and self-love since leaving evangelical Christianity, I'm probably not quite there yet. So you're living your life like Jesus. In a lot of ways. I mean, not precisely, but I do live in a lot of ways like that. Jupiter says, you still believe in God, right? I don't know. I consider myself an agnostic atheist. Yeah, Bailey says, I was looking through old journals and I wrote about a frustration I had when my church said our life, body, and soul was not our own, but God's. That message felt so toxic to me. Yeah, I think there's a lot of messaging around like us just being these like empty vessels for God to use, and that the only thing that's good about us is God, essentially. And that is, I mean, that's going to make you feel worthless. Hey, Joe. Yeah, I guess it is. Oh, it is late tonight. Thanks, Chip. Chip sent a super chat. Chip says, always enjoyed your live, Sarah, but I got to get some sleep. Catch you next week. Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. Sheila says, I waited until my Catholic mom passed to come out, or she would be praying a novena every day. Ha! Wow. I need to learn about this prayer. KR says, Jesus said he came with the sword and to hate your mama and leave your family. Yeah, he did say all those things too. Have a good night too, Muffin. Oh, yeah, that would make sense, Kendra. Jupiter said Jesus had some bad days. He's allowed to be grumpy. Oh, it's like you said it was late and it just triggered my yawn. Yeah, you know what, KR? Jesus stealing a donkey came up earlier, and whoever made the comment, I genuinely hadn't thought about it that way. But yeah, isn't Jesus sinning when he's stealing a donkey? Oh, well, that is kind of nice then, Ekta. Ekta says, I asked my mom once if I was Jewish or Christmas. Love that. Ah, yes, John, it was you. Yeah, that really got, my wheels turning. All right, Joe, I'll hang on a few more minutes. Yeah, Eve says, well, technically, Jesus didn't steal the donkey. He told other people to steal it for him. I say by that logic, he is still culpable. Rad says, do you think religion is phasing out in our culture? Not in the US. I mean, I think, although in the US, it does seem like it's more and more of a dichotomy of hyper religious and not religious, like moving in opposite directions. I'm glad you made it too, Ekta. Theoden says, same with the Catholic mom. I'm torn between constantly having to white lie and change the subject when she brings up faith and having her freak out with worry for me if I really came out to her. Yeah, it's such a difficult dilemma. And, you want to do what is right for her and what is kind and protect your own mental health as well. It's a really difficult situation. Astro says the donkey was borrowed, not stolen. Did he have permission to take it? Yeah, I mean, I think religion will continue to change and evolve for sure. I don't know that we will ever, as humans, have no religion. Um, but I do think there's some evolution taking place. The owners of the donkey did give consent. I genuinely don't remember that verse now. Oh, did they say something about like I'm taking it for my Lord or something? And they were like, yeah, cool, you can take it. It's been so long since I've read that. I don't remember. Yeah, that was not cool, John Paul. I agree. Oh, Jesus says, if they say anything while you're stealing the donkey, just tell them it's for the Lord. Does that happen then? Or is it like that was just the direction? Oily Josh. Is that something Justin says? I don't know what that means, Astro. Oh, was it? Oh, well, you're so welcome, Kim. Oh, that's really funny, Ekta. Yeah, because it's like like Joshua is the sort of the like English version of Yeshua, which is like really what Jesus should be. And then I forget where the oily comes from, like, but it's something um I forget. I'll have to ask Justin about it. Grand Theft Donkey. uh, oh, Christ is an anointed title. Okay, so that's why there's oil. Got it. That makes sense. Oh, okay, that's yawn number 2. I think that means it's time, my friends. Oh, I'm sleepy. Um, I am going to call it a night. Oh, Joe, if you, I have a video that answers that question about Genesis 1 and 2 being different stories. Um, Justin from Deconstruction Zone and I are doing basically like a Bible study through, right now we're in Genesis. So I have a playlist with those. The short answer is that it looks like basically there were kind of 2 versions of the stories and they were merged together to make the book. And that's why things repeat a lot, or they're slightly like 2 sort of slightly different um, stories put together. Thanks, Kendra. And thanks, Charles. Yes, I am also on TikTok. I know not everyone uses it, but if you are over there, I have the same handle. And I post videos more often over there, and I am live most evenings over there as well. So also come find me on TikTok too. But thank you all so much for the lovely conversation. I am always back here on Tuesday nights. And so if I don't see you before then, I will see you guys next Tuesday. Have a wonderful night.